All right, everyone. Welcome to tonight's teleconference. We're ready for the 2024 Go Bowling Military Bowl between East Carolina and North Carolina State. Um, for anyone who's traveling up to DC area, the teams are in DC during the week, and the game is in Annapolis, which is about 50 minutes away. If you're coming up just for the night before the game, I'd suggest staying in Annapolis. If you're in town during the week, we encourage you to stay in DC because that's where the teams will be. Tonight, if you're not when you're not talking, if you can just mute yourself just as a courtesy to everybody else, that'd be great. And we're joined by both coaches and Military Bowl Foundation President and Executive Director Steve Beck. Steve, do you want to make a quick statement and then take some questions?
Let everybody know how excited we are for this in-state rivalry to come up our way to Washington, D.C. and to Navy Marine Corps uh, in Annapolis, Maryland. So we're really looking forward to hosting both teams. And I've already spoken with Coach Harrell and Coach Doeren today, and told them, we want to make their stay as positive as possible. So really looking forward to a great matchup. I think it's going to be great. And I'll tell you, the tickets have been going really well the first few hours that we've been on sale here. It's really, really impressive. So we want to keep that momentum going and fill that stands up and have the streets of Annapolis just rocking and rolling with people. It'll be a great time for everybody. That's it, Josh.
Yep. Okay. Do anybody have any questions for Steve about the matchup? Go ahead, Ron. Rob.
Yes, sir. I was just wondering, what was it about North Carolina State that appealed to you? Obviously, East Carolina appealed to you as well. But speaking in regards to the Wolfpack, what was it about them that appealed to you, and how happy are you to have them up there?
Extremely happy. I'll tell you, the winning three out of the last five games on the way back up. Had a little bit of a rough start there, and the freshman quarterback is really special. CJ Bailey. I mean, I've watched him play the last few games, and I think it's a great opponent for the other side too. It works very well together. And then, you got the same thing on the other side. They won four out of their last five. After having a really rough period there with Coach Houston, and Blake came in and seems to have done a really good job. So we got the same thing going on that side.
Go ahead, Steven.
Steve, just getting ECU back up after, what happened with the canceled game a few years ago. Any thought given to that? And I'm sure the fan base that did travel for that enjoyed the area and kind of I don't know, a shot at redemption, so to speak, to play the game this time.
Yeah, that was definitely a motivating factor. I mean, it was so disappointing. 26 hours before the game. And I think Coach Doeren and his people only found out a few hours before his game last year or in 21. So they came across the same sort of thing. But yeah, that was definitely in our mind as well.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Steve? All right, go ahead, Rob.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, hold on. Let's think one more, Steve.
One more. Okay.
Could you describe some of the events and things that the student athletes will be participating in, some of the festivities, and you know what they have to look forward to?
Yeah, so we've got open up with a welcome reception. We'll welcome everybody to the hotel, and then we've got of course, with a Go Bowling Military Bowl, so they have to go bowling. So we're doing that. We've got mall and monument tours. We have a private tour of the Washington Capitol, led by one of our local senators here. Um, and we have some other events for kids and spouses, and we'll have the game rooms available. And it's really a special trip. I mean, coming to Washington D.C. And being able to participate in all these things that we got going for them.
All right, thanks, Steve. Now I'd like to turn to East Carolina coach Blake Harrell. Coach, would you like to make an opening statement? They'll take some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Just first of all, thank you to Steve and the Military Bowl and the committee there for having us up once again. I know the guys are fired up to play in another bowl game and be up there in DC. Obviously, a great experience last time, just didn't get to play in the bowl game. So I think we got 12 players from that roster that are still with us. That were with us back then in 2021. That will be on the same roster. So this time, the opportunity to play in a bowl game is all that have dreamed about and worked for the last month and a half or so. So excited about that. Excited to play against an ACC team and a P4 team. Our guys hadn't had that opportunity this year. I think all our opponents have been G5 or FCS. So excited to play against a P4 opponent. Respect the heck out of Coach Doeren and the job he's done there and their staff and NC State. But for our guys, just to have a chance to do that and on that level is pretty special for those. So you're kind of knocking two things out with that as far as playing in a bowl and against a P4 team.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions for Coach Harrell? Go ahead, Dugan.
Hey, Coach. I'm just curious on your thoughts on not only playing in the bowl game this year, but then next year you also open up the season with them. What your thoughts are on playing NC State back to back?
Yeah, Dugan. It's a unique opportunity. Um, you know, it's tough. It's a tough opportunity. I'll say that as far as just playing against a good football team, an NC State well coached football team. So it's kind of a little different, I guess. You end of the season with them one game, you open the season with them another game. But as far as our fan bases, I know they'll both be excited about the opportunity there, and you should have a good crowd up there in Annapolis for this game. And I'm sure that our fans will travel well for the opener next year as well. So. Really, the only game that matters though is this one because it's the next one, the most important one, and that's the one we'll focus on right now.
All right, Noah.
Yeah, Coach. Anthony Smith transferred from NC State to ECU in the offseason. What has he meant to your team this year?
Anthony's played really well for us, just and we talk to our guys all the time about sometimes when you transfer and move around, it's just a new environment, a new opportunity. It's a fresh start sometimes, and sometimes that's all we need is as individuals to kind of spark us and get us going. And Anthony's certainly done that and played really well for us. And excited about him moving forward with our program. And him and our quarterback seem to have connections. So played really well and done a good job for us.
Rob.
Yes, sir. I have two questions. One, I know you're not knee deep in the scout yet, but just your thoughts on this season's version of the Wolfpack and what they bring to the table.
Well, for the first time last week, I was walking around having everything's a first time for me right now. Walking around for the first time being a head coach last week and going from room to room and watching the cut-ups and of who we might play, whether it was going to be this ACC team or that ACC team or this team or that team. And what little I do know about the Wolfpack, I know that, they've got a good quarterback and always play well on defense, moving the ball really well on offense, and just a hard-nosed coach football team. And they were exactly that when we played them 2 years ago when they beat us here. And you see the same stuff now. It hadn't changed. And that's just who Coach Doeren is. That's who that staff is. And that's who his program has been year in and year out.
And then obviously the military aspect of this, sir. You guys are in Pitt County, Wake County for state. Down the road is Fayetteville, and just the military aspect of it. I would imagine this is something that appeals to both fan bases. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just to be a part of a bowl that means more than a little extra being a military bowl, and adds to it. And certainly, we've been up to Annapolis to play Navy several times, so playing in those environments is pretty special. Kind of makes you know that there's something more out there than just football. It's a little deeper than that, and this certainly will be a representation of that.
Jaden.
Yeah, Blake, as a first year-ish head coach at ECU, what does it mean to get to play in a bowl that's also a rivalry as your first bowl game in the position?
Yeah, Jaden, we were sitting here, 3-4. We'd lost, I think, 3 out of our last 4 games at one point in the season, and then the administration decided to make a change, and I took over on October 20th, and it was really at that point it was just like, hey, let's go send these seniors out the right way. Let's go finish the season off the right way, and let's don't worry about December, what's going to happen, and just focus on each and every day, and trying to win the day and make it the most important day. And at first it was go beat Temple, and then you got win number 4. Then it was go beat FAU, and you got win number 5. Then you got closer to that bowl game and got a chance to go beat Tulsa. and just to send those seniors that been here, they came in, a lot of them came in as COVID started, uh, and kind of finished their career off with getting them back to a bowl game after our 2-10 season last year. Was pretty special. And then, the win at North Texas, where we came from 21 down to come back and finish that. So, um, it's pretty special just to get those seniors back to a bowl game. I think we got 22 seniors, and they're going to experience it and kind of finish this thing off the right way for them. So that's been our focus each and every day, and excited for the opportunity to go play in it, and excited for those young men.
Stephen?
Coach, you mentioned those, I think, 12 guys that were on the military bowl roster last time, but I'm sure many of those played in the NC State game in 22. Just, I don't know, that combination of factors, how much of a motivation do you think it'll be to that group specifically heading into this one?
Yeah, I think if any opportunity to go play another game for those young men. Speaking of, is 12 seniors and 12 older guys that are going to be playing their last college football snaps. So the fact they get to go play against an in-state rival or in-state P4 team they look up to, and in the Military Bowl, I think just adds to it. So they're excited about the opportunity and fired up for the situation here in December.
JC?
I would say there was a big difference in the uptick of the offense after Caden Hauser took over. What was kind of like the hook for him to go to ECU, being a California kid who went to Michigan State?
Yeah, so we made some transitions last year, last December. Obviously, we were coming off a 2-10 season. Started with our new offensive staff, new offensive coordinator John David Baker, and at that point, it was really just go out and find a quarterback we thought fit our system and could fit us, and we come to ECU and an opportunity to play, and that's really where Caden Hauser kind of factored in, was just an opportunity to start fresh, an opportunity to be in an up-tempo offense, throw the football around, and something he felt comfortable with, and he kind of hit it off with Coach Baker, and coming out of preseason camp was not our starter. Jake Garcia was, and Jake's played some pretty good ball at times, but halfway through the season, we thought there was an opportunity to make a change and a need to make a change, and then really about game two of starting, Caden, against Temple, started hitting on all cylinders, making really good throws, really good decisions, and putting the ball in receivers' hands and letting them make some plays as well. So kind of all clicked there at one time, and really finished the season off really well.
David Richmond?
Hey, Coach, just wanted to ask you about, as far as the bowl is concerned, how are the players react when they found out it was NC State?
I think that just, they were already excited to be playing in a bowl game, obviously, and whether it was going to be the Myrtle Beach Bowl or, Boca, those weren't as exciting as to go play a P4 team. And I think, I said it earlier, just the opportunity that we hadn't had to go play a P4 team this year kind of gave them, a little bit more life, to so to speak, or a little bit excite them a little bit more than just going to play in maybe another G5 team. So that was certainly a momentum swing there.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you in a few weeks up in DC and Annapolis.
Definitely, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. We've also got NC State coach Dave Doeren on the line. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for joining us tonight. If you'd like to make a statement, we'll take a few questions.
Thanks, Josh. Very appreciative for the opportunity, Steve. Appreciated the phone call earlier too. We're excited to go to the bowl game in Annapolis and play at our Naval Academy. Spend time in the nation's capital. I always look at the bowl games as life opportunities for these young men, and no better place than our nation's capital to experience something a lot of these guys probably haven't gotten, the tours and the things that we're going to be able to do. And so looking forward to that. The proximity, obviously, for our fan base, great location for them to be able to get there. And look forward to playing Coach Harrell and East Carolina. I have a lot of respect, Blake, for what you did this year, and congrats on becoming the head coach at ECU. I know that's not an easy thing to do midstream like you did, so congratulations. And we look forward to playing them. And, it's kind of a game that goes a long way back, and we don't get to play each other very often, and it's been a while. So I don't know how many of our players, the way rosters change anymore, are going to remember the last time we played. but they're excited to go to a bowl game. You know, there's several guys on our team, just to go back to your comments, that were a part of a canceled bowl game a few years ago in California, and it was on the way to the pregame meal that one got canceled. So, you know, excited to go up there and play. Our team's coming off a good win against our rival UNC, and we do have a really talented quarterback that's excited, you know, to get into the postseason here. And as far as playing each other at the end and the beginning, we actually did that with ECU. I don't know how many years ago it was, but in the previous hurricane year, we had a game canceled with West Virginia and picked up ECU as our last contest and then opened with them the next year. So it's something I've already done. You know, teams change a lot from one year to the next. Obviously, there'll be some carryover, but these rosters for both of us will look different in the fall than they do. And we'll probably both find out tomorrow if our rosters look the same with the transfer portal opening tomorrow. So there's a lot of change this time of year. And I know for one, just getting back on the practice field and getting around the guys again, it's going to be nice. And getting ready and coaching up some of these young players. So look forward to the opportunity, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions.
Yep, there are. We'll start with Todd Gibson.
Yeah, Dave, do you remember, you probably don't remember, back in the 80s and 90s, the history of this rivalry, just how much it means to the fan base. And I'm sure there's still some people from that era too that remember that the history of this rivalry. Can you touch on how important it is to maybe Wolfpack fans, and how exciting that would be for these fan bases to go head to head again?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're in the same state. You know, it's kind of hard to call us rivals now because we don't play each other every year. And to me, that's what rivals do. But we're in-state opponents, and there's a lot of crossover between our fans, you know, and there's split households and all those kind of things. And there's Wolfpack families whose kids are students at ECU. And, you know, so there's all that in-state stuff that goes with this game. And we're not far from each other. We run into each other. Coaches see each other on the road in recruiting, at clinics, everything else. And a lot of these players probably, at least the in-state guys, you know, will have teammates from high school on these two teams, you know, so that part of it. But to go back to the 80s for me, Todd, I can't do that. Like, I don't, I'd be speaking out of turn. I mean, in the 80s, I was in middle school or high school. I mean, I'm not that old, man, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I know some of our older fans look at this a lot different than us, but, you know, I got here 12 years ago, and I know when we play each other, it's always packed at whoever stadium it's at, and there's a lot of fanfare.
Thanks, Dave. I know it was a long time ago. You're right. I wasn't anything about your age there, Coach.
Yeah, it was 40 years ago, man.
I know.
All right, Luis Randos.
Hey, Dave. I was just wondering if you had any comments about Tony heading to Marshall, what he's meant for your program over the past few years, and what you plan on doing from a defensive coordinator or defensive play calling perspective with his departure.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Tony. He's earned it, deserves it. He's been a great staff member, friend, and you know, throughout his time in college football, he's made his mark, and it's always been one of his goals. And you know, so for me, it's a proud moment. You know, it's Coach Beck a few years ago, Eli Drinkwitz a few years ago, Mike Yurimovich is now the head coach at Ball State. So there's a lot of guys that have worked for me that are now running their own programs, and I take a lot of pride in that. And super excited for them, you know. And anytime a coach leaves, I look at that vacancy as an opportunity to improve and take our time, you know, making decisions on what we're going to do. Our staff on defense is all, you know, here, and those guys will coach. Tony won't coach in the bowl game. Obviously, he's got a program to go run. Freddie Autry-Lindsay will call the defense and run it, and excited for him to do that in this game. And our kids will be excited to play hard for him.
Thank you.
All right, Noah Fleischman.
Yeah, hey coach, just to bounce off of that, what does your process look like in replacing Tony, just with the portal opening and kind of, you know, the accelerated offseason that you guys are in this era of college football?
Well, it'll go as fast as it can go. I never look at an opening as something that I have to rush because of what's going on the outside. It's more about what I need for this program. And, you know, as soon as I'm ready, we'll have a guy in there. And I owe it to NC State and to every player in that locker room to look at everything and make the best choices, not just for them as players, but for the culture of the team. And it's a great opportunity. There's a lot of good young football players here. There's a lot coming in our signing class. We have one of the best, if not the best, freshman quarterback in college football on our roster coming back. And so there'll be a lot of interest. My phone's been buzzing the whole time since it broke. And a lot of people want the job. So, I owe it to these players to give them the best coach I can get. And that's what I'm going to do. And sometimes from the outside looking in, I'm not worried about winning a press conference. It's, I know what these guys need. I know what we have. And we don't need to change a 180 and all of a sudden go to a completely different thing, but we do need to evolve, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but every hire is just an opportunity, and it's no different. When a player graduates, there's a guy sitting right underneath them that can't wait to show his stuff, and we're going to have a guy that can't wait to come in here and help NC State on defense.
Rob McClam.
Dave, you've been in North Carolina long enough to know the military sort of legacy within the state, especially the eastern half of the state. There's ROTC. I just left Reynolds Coliseum. They have ROTC in that building.
Right.
And so it's prominent at the school as well. The military aspect of this bowl game, sir, just your thoughts on that. How meaningful is that for you and your players?
I love it, man. I'm excited. Annapolis is, I've never played there. I've been able to play at West Point, and it's just the history and all of it. It's awesome, being in their campus and their stadium. And, I think there's, I know there's our Military Appreciation Day. I mean, like the number of different military that shows up, like the presence in our state is so incredible. And you talk about the eastern part of the state, like one of my favorite trips since I've been here was spending 8 hours at MARSOC, getting to see all the things that they do in the Special Forces part of the Marine base. And I'm excited to go to Annapolis, like really excited to see that. I have so much respect for the military academies and all of it. My dad served in the Navy. I was born in a naval hospital in California. Like all this is cool for me. I applied to the Naval Academy in high school, so I'm really excited about the opportunity going there. And anytime we can do anything that lets the military have football involved in it, where they can take a break from protecting us and enjoy a day, like I'm all about it.
I'm sorry, I have to ask now. You said you applied to the Naval Academy. How did that go?
It went good. I got in.
got
Didn't go
accepted?
there. Obviously, I decided not to do that, but no, it was the only academy that accepted me. Let me say that too. The other ones. So yeah, I was very excited about that opportunity, and just at the time, I think you know this, I thought I was going to be a doctor. I was pre-med, and to go to an academy, you owed them like 20 years of your life after med school, and that was kind of hard to do at 17 and make a decision like that. So I punted on that one.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Jaden Watson Fisher.
Yeah, Dave, speaking of that, I know your grandparents and then your wife, she has family who's served. Does it feel like this is somewhat of a family affair for you?
I hadn't really thought about it. I think this always comes up during military week. Sarah's dad, Stan, served in the Army. My father, Bill, served in the Navy. All of our grandparents served. And so, the military for us is meaningful. It was part of our upbringing. And living in the state, it's very present, more present than any state I've lived in, as far as the number of bases, active military reserves, and everything else. So, you do feel the pageantry of the military more here than you do anywhere. From my standpoint, I know there's other states with huge presence, but for my 7 or 8 states that I've lived in, North Carolina is by far the biggest presence. So, playing on base at a place like that, and obviously Boo Corrigan can speak to this better than me, being at West Point as long as he was, there's a lot of pageantry, a lot of special things that goes with being there.
Noah Fleischman.
Yeah, Coach, you guys will play ECU. Anthony Smith transferred there in the offseason. What was it like for you to be able to see him go there and then play as well as he has this year?
No, I'm excited for Anthony. I loved that kid. Wanted well for him. Was just actually looking at his stats earlier today. He's had some big games for them. I think 4 100-yard games, and he's a fast kid. And he's always been a fun guy to be around. I'm excited for him. Anytime a guy leaves your program in good standing, which he did, you want nothing but success for those guys. Now, obviously, in our game, I hope he doesn't have any, but as far as his career and life and looking what he's done there, he's made an impact for them. He has on the field, and so not surprised. I mean, he's definitely got a great skill set.
Ethan McDowell.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Coach Freddie will be running the defense for bowl prep and all of that. I was just wondering, what makes you excited to see him in that role and, calling plays and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, it's been a goal of his. Freddie was a defensive coordinator at the FCS level for a number of years. And all of my coaches, when they have goals to move up, those are things that I try to help him with. And he's had opportunities to leave here for mid-major D coordinator jobs, and he wanted to learn, he wanted to stay, he wanted to grow. And so this is a great opportunity for him, to show what he can do and to lead our guys. And I know our guys trust him, they respect him. So it'll be fun to watch him. And I've had to deal with this over the years, losing coaches at this time of year. There's been a lot of bowl games where we've had to elevate different people to coach positions. And so hopefully it's just the one. I can't remember what bowl it was when we played. I think it was Texas A&M when we played them in the Belk Bowl, but like half my staff was gone, and so that you're coaching a game with all your GAs running the position rooms, and it gets tricky. And in this situation, we got a very, very qualified coach that takes a lot of pride in what he does. So I'm excited for Freddie.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you up here in a few weeks. Hope you and the team have a great time in DC and Annapolis.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me. You guys have a great night.
Thanks everyone for joining us.